Hey everyone, so let's just jump right into it. On October 3rd, I watched Ginger Snaps 1. A lot of things I love about this movie right off the bat. First of all, it's Canadian, so 100% boom, 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 right there. Another thing I really appreciate about this, and I mentioned this before, is I like the practical effects. So a lot of the effects of the werewolf, the puppetry of it, and the suit that it's in as well, it looks really good. Especially if you look at the budget of the film, like it looks pretty spectacular, pretty spot on. I really enjoyed it. It's a great looking thing. It's one of the most '90s movies you could possibly watch, and that's a compliment. Because it fits the aesthetic so well, and it kind of hits every single little stereotype. Because just it was made in '99, so it's at the very end of the '90s, but it still has that '90s feel to it, and I appreciate that as a '90s kid. It was really cool. Our main actresses, I can't remember the names off the top of my head. I'm sorry. They're really good in this. They're what carry the entire film. In all honesty, if you want to see a horror movie with strong female leads, this is the one to go with. They're very powerful, and their performances are extremely well done. The movie would not be good without them. I personally think. What else? So here's a few things that kind of irritate me about it, and this is kind of a common theme right now with the films I've watched. Um, the opening scene, we have a mother and her son is playing in a sandbox, and the mother's watching him, and then the mother like the see the kids playing with something and finds like a dog's foot in it, and then goes out to the side of the house and they find their dead dog. This is like the middle of the day. You Why aren't these pet owners checking on their pets right away? It doesn't make any sense to me. And on top of that, we learn from that scene that animals have been killed in the residency for a while now. So it's like, how come your pets aren't locked inside? So like the logical like leaps you have to make there, like I found frustrating. And also the thing that's the most frustrating, and if this is the most frustrating thing in the movie, this is a good sign. But the most frustrating thing in the movie is, there's a scene where the girls are in gym class and they're playing field hockey, and the leads are off to the side. They're not playing yet, and so that means the game's already been going on, right? So the girls come in and they start to do their start to play field hockey, and then all of a sudden, the one gets not Ginger, B, Beatrice, I don't know, B, it starts with a B. She gets knocked down, she gets checked, and she lands headfirst into the body of like a corpse of a dead dog. And it's like, you've been playing on this field for how long? Like, someone would have noticed that corpse. This is stupid. Like, I hated that scene. That scene made me really upset. So like, not about that. I don't understand why a girl gets to bring her dog to school also. That doesn't make any sense to me. Um but that's really about it. Like that's really it for the negatives of this film. It's really good. And it's like, there's some pretty like obvious storytelling going on with using the metaphor of a werewolf to symbolize like women coming of age, like going through puberty. Because one of the plots in this is that both the girls, they're only a year apart, but both the girls haven't had their periods yet, and like one's 16 and the other one's 15. So it's like, the metaphor is there, it's obvious, I get it. And then using like the wolf transformation as like the awakening of Ginger's sexuality and her aggressiveness and everything, like it all makes sense, and I really like it. It's good. It's a good metaphor, because a lot of people like to use the wolf as the werewolf as the dark side of the human mind, like becoming the monster. And so this is I think this is a great flip on it, and it's a good change of it. So that's Ginger Snaps 1. It's a high recommend out of 5. I'd give it a 5. Everyone should go watch this movie. I think it's fantastic. I give it a 5er. The second movie I watched on October 4th was Ginger Snaps 2. Okay, so I haven't seen this one. This is the first time I've ever watched this movie. A lot of the positives I had in the first one are there. So like the wolf effects are fantastic. There's some good gore in it as well. There's only like one dumb dog thing, but it's like there and gone kind of thing. Like, it doesn't really matter. The body count is a lot smaller in this one than it is in the first one. One thing I really liked about this one, I liked the idea of B being on the run. After the events of the first one, she's on the run, and They learn in the first one that kind of like because she transferred the werewolf thing inside of her by like doing like a blood pact with her sister, and so the werewolf thing is inside of her now too. It's just so she's becoming a werewolf, and we learned in the last film that kind of injecting wolfsbane helps you not turn into one. Even though they kind of make it like they make it sound like a cure in the first one, but now it just kind of staves off, which means the one guy who was a werewolf in the first one is still a werewolf. Never gets addressed, I don't think. Unless it gets addressed in this one. I think I might have missed that if it did. Anywho, so because of that, she's injecting herself with needles. She looks like a junkie. So at this one event where a werewolf is like after her because a werewolf wants to mate with her, which again, an excellent. I don't think we've seen that in a werewolf film before, and so the idea of like the alpha male looking for the female, like, and we all know those kind of, if you ever had a pet, if you don't get them neutered or spayed, like dogs will break down doors to get to other dogs. So it's cool. It's cool that they bring that in. I think that's very clever from the writer's perspective. Anyways, after the first attack, she's found and she's brought to a hospital for recovering addicts because of all the things in her arm. That's great. That's a great idea. I love this setting. It's a good idea. And all the other girls there, of course, are kind of like me in high school girl stuff too. And then we have Bee's sort of sexual awakening in this as well, which is again interesting, and it's a different aspect of the character. She's still the same character. We still see remnants of, and this again goes to the actress. She's fantastic. And it just goes to her showing this character again, and the journey of this character from the first film to this one, and it's great. What kind of sucks though is that they leave this setting and they take it to a cabin in the woods, which I understand. Like, I get it. I understand why you would do that from like both a like budgetary standpoint and from a storytelling standpoint. I can understand that, but I think the ward with a werewolf in it was not explored enough, and I wanted to see more of that. I think it's a more interesting setting. It's different. And you have more opportunities for more gore and scares because this one really lacks in the gore, as I mentioned. I think another thing with this one was that we have a little girl actress, and you don't want to like talk smack about kids, but I really did not enjoy the kid's performance. She's supposed to be like crazy, but it's not crazy in a fun way. It's kind of crazy more in an annoying kind of way. So I really didn't enjoy that aspect of it, and she kind of becomes like the main center point of this whole thing. I felt the ending was a bit of a letdown. I kind of wanted something a bit more grandiose. We didn't get that, and I guess like especially coming off the last one where like the pacing of the ending was so good, this one kind of like doesn't do as well. But I still recommend it. I still think people should check it out, but I would only check it out if you see Ginger Snaps 1 first, then watch the sequel. And yeah, if I was to give this one a rating, I'd give it 4 out of 5. I wouldn't give it 5 out of 5. I think it's a very fine werewolf film, but a lot of the charm of the first one isn't in this one. Okay, then on the 5th, I watched myself a little film called Ginger Snaps 3, The Beginning. So this is the trilogy. And we go back in time to see how it all started. Werewolves came from yakety smackety smackety smoo. First off, I want to say the one thing I really love about this film is the setting. I don't think we have enough film that take place in like the settler time period, and what a like a terrifying time in history, right? You're in this new world. You don't know anything about the world, and you're trying to like settle and conquer it and control these areas of it. What about this area do you not know that the native people do know? What can the native people do in this area to kind of affect the settlers? You know, it's something that doesn't get explored enough, I think, especially in horror. It does not get explored enough. And so that, first of all, I really love that. The girls are back, but they're playing different characters with the same names. But they're like settler women. The performances in this one are still like, I think this is the strongest. Like, not even just the girls, but like even the supporting cast is really, 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 really good. I got really no complaints too much about it because it's cool to have this fort, and like the character of the fort grows with it too. Like, you see all the scratches on the wall, and you see how the men are like shaken, but they're still trying to hold their like upper British settlement, kind of way, and you have your trappers there too who are a bit more rugged. So it's a good mix. Yeah, I like this one too. I don't really have too much to say about it that isn't the same as the other two, like really good acting, the practical effects are really good. One thing this one has, the other one doesn't have, is David McGinnis, who is a fantastic actor who needs to be hired more and get more work. He's amazing. Um, yeah, I really don't have too much more to add to it. I would say again, I would say it's the weakest out of the three. And that's typical, right? I would say you don't need to watch it, but I think you should watch it. I think it's a solid werewolf flick. It's something different, and it's different in a good way. It's not different in like, oh, we gotta try to get them back in. Like, no, it's a creative idea set in the world, and it fits the world. But like out of the three, I would only give it like a 3 out of 5. It's still really good, and I'd watch it again. This is actually I think my second or third time watching it. Like it's good. It's a good film. So yes, that's everything. I did my best to keep it piffy. Hopefully this isn't too long. Have yourself a great night. I'll be back in a couple days with some more films. I love you all. Mwah, mwah, mwah.